Hi, I'm Phil Friend with YRG. I'm General Manager of YRG, which stands for YAMAHA Robotics Group, but we like to call ourselves your robotics group. We're going to talk today about the new product from Yamaha called Robonity, and I have it on this table. And the Robonity is actuators that have motors or you can get them as mechanical actuators. There's a couple basic sizes of them. We have what they call basic, and then we have what we call advanced. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you a little bit about these, but for you to get a better understanding of what Robonity is, maybe, and I know there's a lot of people out there that are probably new, so maybe we'll just do a quick review of some of these products before we get real deep into this. All right, so to give us a good review of Robonity, I think we ought to just start from the beginning with some of the Yamaha foot products. Yamaha has actuators that are belt drive here and ball screw driven actuators. And we really enjoy the belt size. There's three sizes here. This happens to be a B10. Yamaha goes everything with 10 means 10 millimeters and centimeters. So you have three sizes, a 10, a 14, and a 14H, which is really nice. And then they have ball screw driven actuators, kind of look like this. They have single rail with two blocks or single rail with a single block, and then they put the ball screw on the side to get a really low profile. And then the next size bigger is what they call an F14, F14H, and we'll pull several like this. And it looks like this, where it actually has two rails, a ball screw down the middle, fairly low profile as you can see. And this is how Yamaha got started with building pre-engineered Cartesian systems, which is kind of a good example is what I'm showing here in this picture here. This is what we call an XYW. We also have a series like this, and then also a series where we actually do dispensing, and these are pre-engineered Cartesian systems ready to go. So a good example of a Cartesian system that's pre-engineered and ready to go, this particular unit is an FXYX, and we're actually doing servo dispensing with this X-axis, Y-axis, and Z-axis, and we use a servo motor to run this auger pump. So it looks like this. We're going to do a little bit of a purge, and this is typical dispensing. You're going to go nice and slow. Typically you don't have an auger pump. You're just going to go nice and slow to whatever the tightest bending curves that you have in order to complete that. So you can see it does give you a consistent bead, but it is quite slow. Now with a servo dispensing system, we can go a lot faster because we're coordinating the motion of that motor with the pump. So we can we'll lay down thick and thin beads as an example here. So here we have an L. Now we're going to do a thicker one, and then even a thicker one after that. And all this is all changed by just running the pump faster or slower. Here we're going to do some concentric circles. A good example of Yamaha dispensing system is using this auger pump that's a little faster than traditional servo dispensing. All right, so far what I've talked about was the Flip X series. Those are AC servo versions. We use these as the building blocks to build the Cartesian systems that I talked about. Recently, Yamaha introduced a whole line of DC stepper motors. And our favorite line of that is what we call our SG07. This is our go-to stepper motor actuator. It's got a nice heavy carriage inside of it, shown here, dual blocks here. It's got a nice ball screw in it. You can get it in a 6, a 12, and a 20 lead screw. Runs with the DC stepper motor. And this is what we call SG07, and I like to refer to it as the So Good 07. What makes it really nice is that, with two screws, I can pull the motor off. If we had a motor trouble or a mechanical actuator, two screws, pull the motor off. And we use this SG07 motor on a lot of other things. We can get it in a full back design, but in cases where we want things that are smaller, lower cost, we then have what we call our SS05 and SS04s. We have a line of rotary actuators that are DC stepper motor. And then Yamaha has quite a few of simple DC stepper rod style units like this. This is an SR03. We have a bigger size called a 4, and then the largest size is called an SR05. And we really like the SR05 because we like to use these motors on other actuators. In case with PhD ECV 32 rod style, we love to put the SR05 motor onto this particular unit because it gives you a really good rod style ball screw actuator with a nice low cost motor. And we've done these motors with a lot of different actuators over the years. We also can put our servos on PhD actuators. This happens to be a fold back design. Here's one on an SL with a 200 watt servo with a fold back design. We've done that before. And then we love to put our bigger motors on the PhD belt drives that people, they're very popular today, the ESU belt drives, along with the ECVs that we talked about. Okay, so now we've kind of gone full circle with some of the Yamaha history, with their flipbacks, their trans servos, different types of products. Now Yamaha has introduced the Robonity line. And the Robonity line has two different versions, what they call it an LB, which is a basic. So they have 4 sizes. I don't have the smallest size shown here. That's a size 4, kind of about the same size as this SS04 in the trans servo line. But they start out with the Robonity line that be motorless, means that you can get this and fold back and get it with straight designs, and it's meant for other people's motors other than Yamaha. Yaskawa, Omron, Allen Bradley, Panasonic. There's a whole lot of different motors that will fit on here. And they have 4 different sizes. This is the smallest is a 4, this is a 5, this size is an 8, and then this newer one that they just came out with is a size 12 here. And I'm going to demonstrate that here in just a little bit about how that works. And then one other point is that these are made so you can bolt them down from the top, or there is tap holes in the bottom. You can tack them, bolt them down, fasten them down to a plate, or come through this way. These have bearings that are on the inside of the actuator. They're round, they're put in place and then ground, and then the carriage has a recirculating brace in it, and then a nice ball screw that goes through there, and they're completely covered up with a magnetic strip, which is really, really nice. Stainless steel magnetic strip. The size 8 is kind of like the next size bigger than an 07. As I said earlier before, Yamaha likes to go things in centimeters. So here's a 5 centimeter. Here's the SG07, 7 meters in width. The next one is a size 8. But this size 8, because the bearings are in the side and it's much wider than the SG07, it gives you a lot more load capacity than what you've had in the past in a smaller actuator. And then the bigger size, this size 12, it really rocks as far as moment capacity and capability of this unit. All right, now I've kind of rearranged this just to kind of show you some differences here. Now we talked about the LB series, now we're going to talk about the LG series. Again, this is motorless to start with right now. This is the LG size 12 compared to the LB size 12. As you can see, the LB is a lot lower in profile, but the LG, what makes it a little bit different is it is clean room ready, and it's got a class 5 ball screw inside them. You can get this in a 5, a 10, a 20, and a 30 lead, and the bigger sizes you can get into the 10, 20, 30, and 40 leads in the bigger sizes. So this is a 12. Now I'm going to start over here. We have the smallest unit called a 5. And the 5 is really just like an SG07 bearing rail. The rail's a little bit narrower, but it still has a 2 bearing system. So it gives us SG07 capacity into a smaller unit. The next size is the LG7. That's this guy. And it's really a big brother to the SG07. The carriage is heavier. It's got the back-to-back bearings. It is actually on the same rail guide, but the carriage is heavier with much bigger screws to hold your tooling down. And again, features a standing steel strip, and all these units are class 5 ball screws. So what a class 5 ball screw gives you is it gives you really smooth capability, but we can go to 3 decimal places in our software, and it gives you plus or minus 5 microns for repeatability using a better ball screw, a ground ball screw. Then this size is the 10. Very similar to the F10, except it's all covered up. Now, as I mentioned before, the LG and the LB series are motorless. Now Yamaha has come out with a new motor series, and they basically just put an A in front of it. The idea is that it comes together with a motor all ready to go on the system, and the controller is very, very similar to what we're used to using, called the TS controller. Okay, so what we set up here is the ALB size 12 with this EP controller. This has a 400-watt servo motor. It's a fold-back design. And then we've got the EP software pulled up. As you can see, it looks just like the TS Manager. You have your point table across. You have the ability to put your positions, your speed, your accel, decel, your different flags if you want a flag. You can jump from 1 to 2. So what we're going to do is you can turn your servos on and off with this. You can do an origin search if you want. So I'm going to turn my servos on. And then I'm at 0.1, I'm going to hit the start. And now the unit's going to go back and forth. There's a 20-lead screw on this. And what it's doing is going to go from 0.1. When it gets to 0.1, it jumps to 0.2. And when it gets to 0.2, it jumps back to 0.1 and just cycles back and forth. Very, very easy to use. And then there's some really good features with the I/O monitor that's available here. It shows you your ins and your outs, and also it has real-time feedback, which is really, really nice. I'll go ahead and hit stop on that. With these units, the LB, that's what we call basic system. We have the 4, the 5, the 8, and the size 12. You can get that in 50-watt all the way up to 400-watt servo motors on that. When we get into the LG, the advanced model that's clean room rated with the ball screws, then it goes from 100-watt servos. We have a 100-watt servo right here. This is a 100-watt servo that has a brake on it. This would be the unit that would go on the smaller die if it was an A series. If the next size is you get this in a 60 frame, that's a 40 frame size, 40 millimeter frame size. This is a 60. We can get this in 100, 200, and 400 watt, like what we have there. And then for the bigger versions, when we get into the 16, the 20 size, then we can get into a 750 watt servo motor that looks like this, and with and without brake. So we know there's a lot of people out there that can't get servo motors today because the manufacturing supply chain is long lead times. And we're here to tell you that we can get these motors for you. So if you have an application that needs a motor, we have motors for you today. And we can just use this software, and we'll use something very similar to program these motors so it runs something very similar to these parts that we have up here, and we'll match that up for you if needed. One of the latest products that's come out with from Yamaha is the new LCMR. I got one down here, but before that, a little bit of history is they had 2 generations before the LCMR, and what we're showing here is the LCMX, which is 2nd generation. But the controls work exactly the same. So what we have here is a demo showing a racetrack. We've got 5 carriages on these modules, 1,000 millimeters back there, 1,000 millimeters back there. We have horizontal transfers there and there. We have a light curtain in here. We're showing our little small scare here, just showing that we're doing work. Here's a ST07, running this monitor back and forth when we're at shows. And then the black box right here is the YHX controller that controls this whole system. And the way it works is that you have linear motors. This is the LCMR 200. This is 3rd generation. You have linear motors every 100 millimeters. This is a 200 millimeter module. You can get 300, 500, and 1,000 millimeter modules. They have connection plates that connect these things together. So all you need is a base plate from which you to put them on. The connection plates their dowel pin allow you to Lego these things together in a Lego style building block that you can put right on top of your base plate. The horizontal carriages bolt right into these, so it maintains perfect alignment. You can get those in horizontal transfers and also in vertical transfers. The drivers for each one of these linear motors is underneath. It's built right in here. And when these things are all bolted together, if you had trouble, you can simply take the bolts out of this one, take this one out, put a different one in. Or everything is repairable, rebuildable. These are your linear guides here. Your sensor feedback is a sensor in here. You have connection for motor power and feedback that will connect right into these, that will daisy chain these things together. And then the carriage looks like this. This is the carriage. Yamaha calls these X-box. We call them carriages, sliders. But every carriage has got a carriage ID. It has a magnetic strip inside here that gives you your position. You have your magnetic segment there as well that provides the magnetic power for you when you turn your coils on, the motor propel it back and forth. And then these linear L blocks here are big and beefy, so you can do heavy work right on top of the pallet. That's what makes things really unique about Yamaha. Then this whole thing is covered up with a cover that keeps any debris from falling down on top of it. And then these just slide right in like that. So as we run these, we potentially can take these carriages off. But upon startup, what's really nice about this is when we come to start, because we have position, it's live position feedback all the time. If I had killed power here, or if I broke the light curtain there, all I gotta do is satisfy the E-stop, come in here, I turn the servo powers back on. I say to the robot, hey, get ready. It's gonna get itself into a position. If it doesn't like something, like this particular case, that module was not exactly in a right position. It was just a little bit out of an area. You can see there's a little space here. That carriage should have been right there. No big deal. Close the window, we just start over. Turn that power back on. Do the get ready scenario. Everything moves, everything gets into position, and then I hit the cycle start. And we're running this entire system, both the second generation LCMX or the LCM third generation LCMR, all with a Allen Bradley PLC that we have developed add-on instructions for this. We have system add-on instructions that keep track of the system. We have transfer add-on instructions that take care of the transfers, vertically or horizontal. We also have rotary ones now as well. You were at the Automate show, you've probably seen our bigger demo featuring the LCMR 200. And in this particular case, we're going 10% speed. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to turn this thing up to 50% speed. Just hit the enter. And once it finishes, now it's going to start moving faster. So these will circulate around in a racetrack. 25 meters in length is what we're capable of. We can go 50 carriages on that 25 meters. If we need longer than that, we need YC2 of the YFX controllers together. Then we can get another 75 feet or 25 meters and another 50 carriages if we need it. So we have the capability of going 75 meters or 75 feet down. We transfer over 75 feet back with up to 100 carriages with our system. Plus or minus 5 microns for repeatability. And then we have the ability to change every carriage as it comes into a station. We can adjust that carriage based on the tooling that's on that carriage. Simply with an add-on instruction that will just say, hey, pallet 10, I want you to have a 10 millimeter offset. I hit enter. And now when pallet 10 comes on, that pallet right here is pallet 10, now it's going to be 10 millimeters different than all the other pallets. But we can do the same thing for every pallet. Now it won't be as much as 10 meters or 10 millimeters, but more like maybe, a couple thousandths, which might be 10 microns or 0.001 millimeter is what we have capable of increments. So really nice modular system. You work around the pallet and it's very competitively priced. So I just want to also let you know that all of the things that Yamaha has learned with the LCMX now has been put into the LCMR 200. And there's a really nice catalog that Yamaha has that shows all the configurations, how it all goes together, fits together, connects together, the horizontal vertical transfers. Focus is into this LCMR 200 because of all the features that I talked about earlier, the heavier rails, the capability of connection plates, the driver cards in the bottom of it. And so it's significantly improved over the LCMX, and this is all the focus is going on to this. Now with this, we have built a machine that was shown at the Automate show in Detroit just a couple weeks ago. And we're also featuring rotary transfers, which is something really unique to YRG in this system. And I'm going to show you a couple clips from that. Okay, so we've shown a little bit of our products, the LCMR, the Robonity, some of our flip and scare actuators, and our Cartesian systems. And so one of the things that makes YRG a lot different is that we have people that understand integration. We have people that understand how to put systems together to give you a good solution. And we really care about our customers. And one of the biggest things that we have is we have trained engineers that know how to talk to customers, they know how to do integration, they know how to troubleshoot, they know how to program, and we combine all these talents into one group of technical people that really understand how we can help you sell these products and be successful in your endeavors. Thank you.